You're with Wendy Harmer on ABC Radio Sydney.
Have you ever called an after-hours doctor service and were you happy with it? The after-hours doctor services have just been reviewed by a task force looking at urgent after-hours GP services funded through the Medicare benefit scheme. Schedule, the Medicare benefit schedule. And the review was done amid growing concern that doctors were inappropriately using the word urgent and then billing it to Medicare as it attracts a much higher rebate than a standard consultation. Yeah, marking it as an urgent item. The after-hours doctors and the Royal College of GPs are at loggerheads over this one. Meanwhile, Brisbane doctor, Dr. Chris Ifediora, is one that does after-hours visits, and he has been thinking about the value of these services for quite a while. He's a senior lecturer in clinical skills with the School of Medicine at Griffith University, and he surveyed patients about their experience with those after-hours doctors, and let's find out what he came up with. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
And
how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Tell us how you put this study together and who you talked to and how long it took, all that.
All right. So like you rightly pointed out, I do after-hour services. Mm-hmm. I also have to add that I do regular hour GP as well.
Yep.
So over the years, I've been, quite curious as to, stuff about after-hour services, about the doctors that do the job, about the patients that benefit from the job.
Yep.
Many questions pop through my mind as I do the job, and as an academic, I went to find out, exactly what's out there. And to my biggest surprise, there was basically nothing on after-hour services, on the literature. So the only way to find out was to do the studies myself. And that's what I set out to do. So in mid-2015, I contacted my boss in the medical school and told him, can we look into this?
Yes.
I sent in a proposal. He looked at it. He liked it. We went through the ethical hurdles. Everything came out good. So what we did basically was to contact all the companies that provide the after-hour services in Australia. Mm-hmm. We invited them to be part of the study because we needed them to, through them to reach out to the patients. But before then, I looked at how best to, look at this particular topic.
Now, the interesting thing, sorry, just to interrupt you there, Chris, I just take you back because you said that when you operate as an after-hours doctor, there you several questions run through your mind. And can you tell me what they are?
Okay. Looking at the patient angle, I keep wondering how satisfied are these patients with the service?
How satisfied they are, yep.
What impact does it have?
Yep.
For the doctor's side of things, I kept wondering how safe are the doctors doing this job?
How safe are they? Yep.
Yeah, how safe, how stressed are they doing this job? How satisfied are they doing this job? What kind of support do they have doing this job? Yeah. So most of these things run through my mind. I do have my personal opinions on them, but like I said, being an academic, I felt it's best to have a well-organized study and, find the correct answers to these things.
Yeah, it's interesting. You say that there's no literature about this. I've got a couple of opinions here for you, and I guess they might demonstrate the kind of the wide variety of replies that you got. I'm betting, Chris. We'll have one text here says, Joanna says, yes, I've tried using an after-hours doctor's service. I was having an allergic reaction to chili. Tried every possible service available in my area. However, they were all fully booked out. I ended up having to go to emergency, which was already inundated with patients. That's Joanna. And then Linda from Avoca Beach, she says, we called an after-hours doctor one night for our grandson who had broken out in a terrible rash. I couldn't fault the service, and my daughter could claim unborn Medicare. Great service, says Linda. And another one here, my friend used it and says she'll never go back to an ordinary GP. She loved it, and she said she got heaps of texts saying that the doctor was on his way, etc. She loved it. So, yes, a very wide range of experiences, Chris. Is that what you found as well?
Yeah, and that's a fairly accurate reflection of our findings, because what's making news today is the study, the impact on emergency service departments. But we also looked at patient satisfaction with the service and different aspects of this satisfaction. That study came out about 6 months ago.
Yep.
It didn't generate this much attention, but yes, what you just read out reflects fairly accurately what I found in that study.
Yeah.
So if I should go on, so basically what we try to do is to assess this service through the patients, the consumers themselves. Because a few studies out there, not looking at specific home visit services, have tried to explore emergency services, the impact they have on emergency services.
Yeah.
But the approach we found that they used was to look at emergency department documents over the years. We felt it's a faulty way to approach it. For a number of reasons, all right? Number one is, those records do not really reflect the acuity of the patient visits, like how sick were the patients being reviewed. In emergency department, they look at categories 1 to 5, depending on the severity, but after our services, only deal with categories 3 to 5. Also, there might be some epidemic outbreaks, like we all know about the Melbourne thunderstorm asthma outbreak last year. Emergency departments were inundated. Approaching it that way would not take these things into account. So we felt, and the literature supported our view, that the best way to assess this accurately, is to look at the consumers themselves. So we came up with a questionnaire, pilot survey, and went ahead to, send it out to the patients. So overall, over 10,000 patients were contacted.
Oh, 10,000 you contacted,
over
okay.
10,000, or just about 1,200 responded.
Yep.
And then we analyzed it.
Yes.
Now, on the issue about the impact on emergency service departments, we found out that about 40.1% of the patients we spoke to said they would have used the emergency service department that day or that night, that they used the service if the service wasn't there. So I hope this is quite clear. Like 40.1% said that if that service did not come out to see them, they would have gone to the emergency department that day or night.
Yes.
Now, we also went on to ask, so after the service, what happened with respect to that particular illness for which you called the doctors out? And we found out that 8.5% or thereabout said that they still went to the emergency department. All right. Now, I have to put this in the right context, because these numbers I'm putting through now, with respect to all the patients that responded. So some of those that would have gone to the emergency department did not go, but some that did not think they should have gone to the emergency department eventually were among that 8.5% that.
Yeah, all right. Well, Chris, what I would rather do than get down into the real nitty-gritty and the numbers here, I would like to invite a couple of listeners to have a chat about it. Are you able to stay with us?
Yeah,
sure. All right, good. Well, here's Juliana from the Northern Beaches. Your thoughts on this one, Juliana? How did you go?
Look, I've used the after-hours service a couple of times for my children, and I've absolutely loved it. As you know, Wendy, up our area, the medical centres, I've rung them before thinking, okay, I'll go there, and the wait could be an hour, or they're just so busy, they're closing in half an hour, and you just can't get in. And I've used the after-hours doctor's service, and it's so lovely not to have to take your children out of the home because obviously they're sick, and then wait either at a hospital or a medical centre for up to an hour sometimes to see a doctor, but they're able to be at home in the comfort of your own home, and you can, get on with what you need to do when the doctor comes to you.
Juliana, would you be prepared to pay a little bit more for that service?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would.
All right.
It wouldn't bother me just to pay, whatever it is for that, because the advantages are there. The last time I used it was maybe, the last 2 months.
Yeah,
and my son needed to have antibiotics, and the doctor was able to give us, a dosage there and then, like I think 2 tablets or a tablet or something, and a script so that we could go
in the morning
the next day.
All right. Well, thank you for that one. And let's talk with Keith from Engadine. Hello, Keith.
G'day, Wendy.
How was your experience? Oh, not at all, Keith.
Yes, I had reason to ring them It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. It was quite a long while ago. But I had vertigo.
Yeah.
And,
wow. Okay.
I'd rung my local GP and I'd waited all day. Nobody turned up. And I finished up ringing them, the emergency service, and they came after 2 hours. But he told me he came from Surrey Hills, so I figured that must have been worth coming.
Yeah.
And he fixed me up real quick, you know.
Oh, well, that's good, Keith. That's good, especially with vertigo. You'd find it very difficult to make the trip. Wouldn't you?
I couldn't get out of bed.
Of course you couldn't. Yeah, well, good eye. Thank you very much for that, Keith. Appreciate your call. Grant from Menai says, we had the after-hours doctor come to our house one Friday night when our son badly grazed his legs after falling over in a gravel driveway. We contemplated going to A&E, but called the doctor and he was able to deal with it, save a visit to the hospital. It was a great service. So I'm speaking with Dr. Chris Ifediora. He is a Brisbane GP and senior lecturer in clinical skills at the School of Medicine with Griffith University. There is a big argument going on about this, isn't there, Chris? You actually have found out in your study that it is true that the number of claims for this item of urgency, I suppose, has increased by 170% between 2011 and 2015, 2016. So I guess the government wants to sort of, I suppose, rein in some costs on here. Is that right?
I mean, basically what you just quoted is what's out there, you know, in the literature. Everyone knows about this.
Yes.
But my finding did not exactly look at the rise in this cost. I'm aware it's been going up.
Okay.
But I think it's only going up because there's more popularity. You know, people tend to know
people
about
are
it more,
finding out about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but my finding was basically surveying the things I've told you about, and you know, these are the things that I've put out there.
Yeah.
And you know, these are the areas I'm very happy to talk about.
And you say that you think that what is required here is more study.
Well, yeah, the study we've done, because obviously that's very, very few in this area. I know ours seems to be the first to have addressed this issue. Obviously, there are limitations like you do have with any kind of study.
Yeah.
And I think my frank suggestion to the government and the stakeholders in this field is to look at this,
yes,
possibly commission a bigger study.
Yes.
I'm more than happy to be part of that study if need be. But I do strongly believe that you know, instead of basing judgments on assumptions or on insinuations, we have science to back up, you know, any decision that can be made.
Yes.
You know, they can have a bigger study, they can have a longer study, larger study, and then come up with something that can inform the policies.
Yeah.
But like you've heard from the patients that I just spoke now, you know, the facts are clear. Basically, what they are saying is similar to the responses we got on our questionnaires. And, you know, the facts cannot be wished away, you know.
Yeah, the facts, what you're saying, the facts can't be wished away, as you say, that 40% of the people that you surveyed, 486 patients, said that they would have gone to the emergency department or if the service hadn't been available to them. But, they also seem to have been, mostly happy about it. You say that there's a big range of opinion, but most people are in favour?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, the other paper we published 6 months ago showed that the overwhelming majority, of over 80%, reported satisfaction overall.
Yep.
And there are specific about 7 different spectra, you know, on the spectrum of satisfaction. And generally, you know, it's widespread. Yep. And I have to say, going back to the emergency department presentations, the 40% was those that should have gone, but those that eventually went. So we went further on the study to look at eventually what was the impact at the end of the day.
Yep.
You know, and we found that just about 8% ended up going. And most of that 8% were those that were now sent to the hospital by the doctors themselves. And something that's very important to be clear about here is that this finding is spread out across all states and territories in Australia. The only place missing was Northern Territory.
All right. Well, but thanks. Yeah, it sounds like it was very thorough. Well, all right. Well, thank you very much for that, Chris. I appreciate you spending the time with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And if people would like to delve into a little more about what that study what it found out, and you'd like to have a look at that, there's an article in The Conversation by Dr. Chris Ifediora. He's Senior Lecturer Clinical Skills at Griffith University.
ABC Radio Sydney.